How to buy stocks long term without regret. Because we've all had that stock that seems too good to be true, and our mates are telling us things like, "Are you sure, mate?" And then all of a sudden we wake up one day and realize we've just banged a homeless bloke. You can't undo that. It's too late. You need to prevent it from happening in the first place. Otherwise, you're guaranteed to lose money again and get treated for syphilis. I'll cover why this happens, the 7 tactics you can implement today that I've gathered from some of the best stock investors with long-term verifiable track records, and I've left Buffett's best for last. I'm Jack Laffin. I've invested over 2,000 hours learning from the best stock investors. Now I help stock investors avoid losers and pick winners with confidence. Why does this happen? FOMO, or a fear of missing out. You see a stock trending up in a hot industry, see others going along and doing the same, that's groupthink. You think the price is rising and take that for a sign that you know something or that they know something that you don't. The market must be right. This is what happened to a client of mine. So very similar. Back in 2007, it was in a biomedical industry, a new device that they had brought to market, and there was a lot of hype around it at the time. The business had then spruiked up and a couple of articles had come out about it, and there was a lot of hype growing. The investor at the time jumped on it, bought some of the stock. When the company then, 12 months later, said that they were looking to get some more investment, then he also bought some more. The price of that stock within a couple of years went to pretty much zero, and he lost 99% of his money. And that company's still around today, and the stock price is still a loss for him of 99%. Now, that business that he'd invested in as well, it showed a few key signs that it was going to end up that way. It had very poor management, it had no product market fit with our product, and he didn't actually understand how the company worked. Now let's jump into how to. Number 1, Buffett. The stock price is just that, the price. It's not a signal to buy. So Warren Buffett had a mentor back in the day. His name was Benjamin Graham, and he told Buffett about this analogy on the stock price that he uses, which was called Mr. Market. Now imagine that you own 50% of a business and the other 50% is owned by a partner, and his name is Mr. Market. Now every day Mr. Market comes into you and offers his 50% of the business every day for a different price. Some days he comes in and he's in complete despair and wants to sell it at a low price. Some days he comes in and he's full of optimism, spruiking about how good his business is and wants to sell it for a really high price. So let's say today he comes in and I'll give it away for $50,000 and he's fully freaking out. Then tomorrow he might come in and say, "Hey, I'll give it to you for $200,000. And then some days he might come in and say, "Hey, I'll give it to you for $1 million. But Buffett and his mentor, Benjamin Graham, said, you need to see Mr. Market for exactly what he is. And he's literally just coming at you with different prices. And that's what it is at the end of the day. He doesn't know anything more than you do, and it's not a signal to necessarily buy. But you need to be able to take advantage of Mr. Market and the prices that he gives you at certain times, not Mr. Market taking advantage of you. So, one other thing on it, the price over the time converges on value. And so a great quote from Howard Marks. And it also highlights that you can't actually time the market as much as we all want to. So you never actually know when you'll be either proven right or when you'll be proven wrong. 2, from Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. They came up and coined the term myopic loss aversion, which just means they combined short-sighted and fear of loss. And what they found is your fear of loss actually gets worse with the amount or the frequency at which you check. So it might be something like checking the stock price, and there's more opportunities for you to see something you don't like, and it gets worse. So just like in Alcoholics Anonymous or AAs, or probably more likely for us, sex addicts, considering the start of this video, we don't want to go where it's slippery. We want to limit the amount of stock information that we're consuming. And that includes the stock price as well. So you want to block any notifications or get rid of any non-essential apps and things like that, where you're going to be tempted to go in and either constantly be checking either daily or weekly and things like that, especially where us being long-term in stock investors. Everyone's trying to entice you with their next hot stock tip, and hopefully it's just the tip. But those guys are the ones that you also want to be watching out for. Limit the amount of information that you're consuming, either online around specifically stock tips and things like that, and pick out selected sources. Now, number 3, one from Ray Dalio. So Ray Dalio believes in his book From Principles, and he puts forward this idea of rating and weighting your decisions based on their believability of where that information's come from. So we can use this to relate it to where do we think the best and most believable information will come from with regards to a stock in particular. So we want to base that around the actual business that the stock is from. And we want to use things like the annual report, quarterly updates, and things like that that come from the actual business. And it might be from the sector, it might be from an independent company that's providing additional information on how the industry and competitors overall are going, but we don't want to rely on stock market commentators. How do you actually do that? Well, reading through the annual reports. So that's exactly what Warren Buffett did, and Allan Mecham and a lot of other successful investors. They just use the primary information source. Now, speaking of Allan, number 4, Allan Mecham. So our success depends on exercising patience and discipline to only invest in situations that meet our criteria. So Allan's whole process is quite detailed, and he goes into specific criteria that he looks through. And because I think people like Warren Buffett has been investing for over half a century, Allan Mecham, at the time that he wrote that, had been investing for over a decade. These guys have their checklists and this criteria literally burnt into their brain. They can go through it because they've been doing it day in, day out for their day job. Now, for us individual investors, we might just be doing this every week, every month, a couple of hours here and there. But what we should have is a checklist that works for our strategy. So we can be consistent with it and make sure that we're actually following it when it counts. So literally, if you don't have that at the moment, literally you can just start with a pen and a paper and literally just start writing up a couple of criteria that you guys look for each time, okay? Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to go back to what our strategy is, because in the heat of the moment, our strategy can sometimes go out the door. And if we don't have it written down, we will try and trick ourselves. That's the hard part. So a framework that I like to use is, I guess, these 3 pillars. You need to know the right things to do. You need to know how to do the right things. And you need to know how to do the right things when it counts. So if you don't know what the right things are, you're not going to do too well because you don't have a proven strategy for how to invest. If you don't know how to do and actually implement that strategy, so looking through annual reports, knowing what to look for in management, the moat of the business, the competitive advantage, and how it's going against competitors, it falls over there. And if you can do those things, but when it counts, say when the stock market's crashing or there's bad news that comes out about the business or the stock price plunges, then if you can't actually implement it in the heat of the moment, then everything else falls over. So that's exactly what I've tried to piece together after doing the research in all these different successful investors and pulling together frameworks and lessons that we can all learn from. So it's what I wish that I had when I first started out. It's in the link in the description. If you'd like some help with it, check it out. I'm in there. So number 5, Howard Marks, his book, The Most Important Thing. So we need to remember that when things seem too good to be true, they usually are. When you get that feeling that it's too good to be true, you really just need to, like we've just done, grab that checklist and bring yourself back to reality and go through it. If you ever get that feeling that, get rich quick scheme, or you feel like a fear of missing out, you really need to stop, hold up before you click that little buy button in the app. You need to stop yourself and go back and go through your checklist. So, number 6 from Howard Marks, you need to have a willingness to look wrong. So, the stock market can go from misvalued, so it might be too high, and it might just keep going to more misvalued. And as it does, you need to be able to be willing to look wrong. And that's exactly what Cathie Wood's ARK ETF did in 2020, and it went through a bubble and then popped and come back down into 2022. And Amazon during 1999, when it rose up during the dot-com bubble, and then the subsequent pop of all those internet stocks during the day, went back down and lost most of them 90% of their value. You need to be able to be, or willing to look wrong and know why. Number 7, Howard Marks again. You need to surround yourself with like-minded investors to bounce those kinds of ideas off. And at the end of the day, it works in lots of different settings. If you want to get better at certain things, surround yourself with people that are either at your level, a little bit in front, or way further ahead, so that you can all learn together. And that's exactly what I've got in the link in the description. So if you can, and you're a long-term stock investor and you want to get better and be surrounded by like-minded people, check it out. But think about it. If you'd actually listened to the boys at the pub at the start of this video, you wouldn't have ended up with that regrettable moment. So just think of that. Now, the bonus. Warren Buffett. You need to think for yourself. Every tactic before this has been put in place to put guardrails around you so that you can more easily make decisions for yourself. Now, putting those in place makes it a lot easier, because in the heat of the moment, it can be quite tricky to be able to do it, okay? But at the end of the day, thinking for yourself is what we need to do. Now, if you don't have a proven stock investing strategy, you can check out this next video where I go through the 5-step framework I learned from Warren Buffett that saves me from losing money in stocks. And I'll show you how to apply it. Check it out. Click on the video. Cheers, mate.